Okay, if you ever need to replace the airbag computer, aka center airbag sensor module, in your 200 series Land Cruiser, which we're looking at right now, then this video is going to come in very helpful. If you look at the Toyota factory service manual, it says what you need to do is pull the steering wheel, pull the steering column, pull the entire dash. I'm talking the whole dash, not just this stuff here, everything on the dash, and the air conditioning system, the entire AC system. You can see these vents right here are part of the AC system, and there are some bolts right here, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but also back here I think you can see one of them right there. So in order to get a socket down in there, they suggest pulling the entire AC system, which again involves pulling the entire dash. That was unacceptable to me, just to be able to pull the airbag module to reset the airbag computer, which I had to do because these side curtain airbags deployed. Anyhow, the original video I took on how to do this was very long, as I kind of walked through the process and how to do it. So this will be a much shortened version. In effect, all you have to do to get to this airbag computer and pull it out and reset it is do roughly what I've done here. Pull a bunch of this stuff out of the dash. This is just put back in place for testing purposes because when you pop it back in, this has a passenger sensor, the sensor that senses where you're sitting on the seat. And this needs to be back in place to actually eliminate all of the SRS codes. Otherwise, your airbag light will still show on the dash because the full SRS isn't in play here, because you have the little passenger sensor light up here that needs to be plugged in to completely eliminate the codes. But anyway, pull apart this portion of the dash, this portion of the center console down here. I'm not going to go through completely how to do all that. It's not super complicated. You can probably find it in the factory service manual. Once you get to this point, you've got one bolt right here, 12 millimeter, and then the other two are in the back, and they are pretty tough to access. But if you can see right here, you've got a little access hole right here. Grab access hole right here, and an access hole back here on the other side of this this little, whatever this is here, support. So if you get back here, again, I don't know if you can see these, but you may just have to trust me here. There are a couple bolts back here. Is that? Yep, you can just barely see one there. It's pretty dark, but right in the middle of the screen, there's a bolt there. And then back a little bit further, there's another bolt on the back side of this guy, back near the driver's side. It's very, very tight access in there. You're not going to have a whole lot of access. So what you do is get yourself a set of these. These happen to be from Harbor Freight, but they also sell a set called Mountain on Amazon, which are decent, but Harbor Freight Icon ones have a lifetime warranty that is much easier to take advantage of. The ones on Amazon, there's some question about whether the lifetime warranty is actually redeemable, whether you can actually realistically swap them out. But point being is, you get these very long ratcheting flexible box end wrenches, and you notice you got a 12 millimeter here. So again, I'm not going to go through this entirely. I would recommend going over to this side here. You can get this guy back there, and if you've got this positioned correctly, you can do it from this side too for this one in specific. So there's the bolt right there. Well, anyway, not going to bother getting it on there, but I've already gone through this process, pulled this guy out, sent it in for for resetting and reinstalled it and confirmed that it's all working. So anyway, you take these guys, pop it back there, take the unit off. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. This front bolt is obviously easy. That's easy to access. This closer back bolt here, closest to me, is pretty easy to access. The one that you can see right there, maybe a little bit. The one in the further back, closer to the driver's side, is really tough to access, but you can access it with these. The problem becomes, after you get it loosened so much, the ratcheting mechanism won't work anymore because there's no tension. The bolt just goes back and forth, left and right, left and right, left and right, as you try to ratchet. So what you have to do when you start to get that back bolt out is actually grab this and pull out on it, pull it out so that the frame of this airbag computer puts tension on the threads of the bolt. So it effectively re-engages your ratcheting mechanism. So again, for the very last bolt, pull outward on that, give it some tension, put some tension on that bolt so that you can redo the ratcheting mechanism. I hope that's clear. And then you can pull this out entirely. It should be noted also, disconnect your battery, fully disconnect your battery a couple minutes, at least a couple minutes before you mess with any of this. You need to fully drain your battery. I can't make that clear enough. You can cause major problems and injury if you don't fully drain your battery. Once you get this disconnected, you'll need to take out this yaw rate sensor. It's pretty easy, a couple 10mm bolts just to get this out. There's a little tab. I don't know if you can see there. This guy here is white tab. Pull that out, it will pop this connector out, and then you'll be able to wiggle that out. So then you can send it in. I used a company called Safety Restore. Sent it in, got it reset, all the codes reset. Then you will get it back in the mail, and you need to pop it back in place. Again, this first bolt is pretty self-explanatory, and even this closer bolt back here to some extent is pretty self-explanatory, although it's a little tougher. But if you have a certain type of socket, you can actually reach it back there and even reach that, which is a standard socket wrench if it's not too deep. Again, the ratcheting mechanism becomes a little tough because the bolt is going to be loose. So worst case, you may just have to, manually go in, twist, twist, twist. And it'll take a while, but it's a lot better than pulling all this apart and doing the AC system and all that stuff. Now, another option, this is going to sound weird, but this is how I eventually did both of these bolts in the back here. I don't have it here anymore. I got a little piece here. Dental floss. How does that work, you may be asking? This is a little tough to describe, but put the dental floss around the head of the bolt in such a way that it's spun around the bolt so that when you pull the dental floss, it will spin the bolt clockwise and spin it into place. So what I did, place dental floss around the head of the bolt, then put the this ratcheting socket over it, stuck it back there with dental floss hanging out back here, positioned it in place, and then with this thing stuck in place, pulled on the dental floss, and the ratcheting mechanism did what it does. It, allowed the bolt to spin and spun it on far enough that now it was down in place and I could ratchet it the rest of the way. I did that with both of these bolts. I tried some other options, putting tape on the head of the bolt. I thought about maybe using like thread locker or something. That's another thing you could do, although the factory service manual recommends against putting thread locker on some of these, but you could probably use some of the light duty thread locker and just get those threads gunked up a little bit, you know, let it sit overnight or something, so that you can actually get the ratcheting mechanism going on. You know, there's not a whole lot of tension going back on these. It's pretty light, but you know, it's I don't know how many pounds of you know, feet-pounds of torque it takes to get this thing to go back. Maybe 3 or 4, but thread locker would probably do it. But then your bolt is technically, this is going to have thread locker on it when it's technically not supposed to. It's not going to hurt anything, but you know, I'm just kind of OCD like that. So you can use a dental floss trick. Maybe you have some other option, but that's it. That it's a little bit ghetto. It's a little bit of a funky way of doing it, but that is how you remove this thing and how you get it back in without disassembling this entire dash, steering wheel, steering column, AC system, which is just kind of ridiculous if you ask me. Okay, so I hope that video was helpful to somebody out there in Land Cruiser land, and good luck with your project.